Can you help me? I'm looking for some advice on whether or not I should estrange myself from my father. I have to get something off my chest, so please forgive me if this is a little long-winded. Please keep in mind that I am very sensitive and have spectrum disorder. Here's a little background. My mother and father got divorced when I was 3 years old. For the most part, I lived with my father and he pretty much raised me. This is because my mother lived further away from where I attended school. Since then, both of my parents have remarried to other people. I do have a pretty good relationship with my mother and my stepfather. Unfortunately, I don't have that good of a relationship with my father and his new wife. So here are some details about the relationship with my father. When I was younger, he was really my best friend. I was bullied a lot in school and didn't have very many friends. At home, my older sister Jill bullied me a lot. I was told by my family that it was all just friendly family squabbles and part-sibling rivalry. My parents didn't do anything to protect me. So, for that reason, I was always on guard when I was around my sister Jill. It deeply affected me. The only time I really felt safe and not anxious was when my father was home and it was just the two of us alone. However, all that changed when he met the new woman in his life and soon-to-be wife. Let's call her Samantha. When Samantha came into the picture, he seemed to communicate to the family that she would come first. This meant he would make her a priority. And by all accounts, based on how he treated us, she did come first. Eventually, the time came for Samantha to physically move into our home. This was a big deal to me. I had to get myself together psychologically for this huge change in dynamic that was going to take place. I decided to be open-minded at the prospect of having a new person in the house. I was going to try to be positive about it, especially for my dad's sake. After all, this was the first woman he had brought to meet the family since the divorce. I wanted to be excited for him, but the reality was that once Samantha moved into the house, I started spending more and more time at my mother's house. By then, she lived closer, so I was able to visit as frequently as I wanted to. Then it got to the point where I would go back to my mother's house for days at a time. On one particular occasion when I came back home, I noticed for some reason it felt different. The sights and sounds and smells just weren't the same as it was when I was growing up. They say you could never go home again. This is so true. When I mentioned this to Samantha, she said things were different because she had cleaned the house. She implied that things were different because the house was previously dirty and disorganized, and now it was tidy and smelled good. I was a little insulted at her remarks because my father kept the house quite clean. And this was a little jab at my family. Whether it was the smell or the new way things were being done, I knew in that moment that the home was no longer really my home. But Samantha's comments didn't stop there. She would keep making similar comments like that to me whenever my father was away. So I stopped feeling comfortable around Samantha in my home. At this point, I was still a teenager. Then one time, it was decided they were going to renovate part of the house. I asked some questions about what paint they were going to use and what furniture and appliances they were going to buy. I offered some of my opinions on the renovation and the decor. Instead of considering my opinion, he said that I shouldn't concern myself with those details because I was going to be leaving the house soon anyway as I was approaching adulthood. So, in a fit of anger, I grabbed all of my things and moved to my mother's house. When I was 20, my father eloped with Samantha and got married in secret. He sent me a text message telling me that they were suddenly married. He asked me to keep that information a secret and not share it with anyone. I didn't know in advance that they were actually even engaged, or that they were thinking about getting married. I didn't know how to deal with it. Also, I was confused why I couldn't tell anyone. A few days later, my mom discovered that my dad was married via a post he made on Facebook. It was at that time that I confessed that he had already told me about the wedding. She said the fact that he messaged me like that was really weird, and she wondered if I was okay. The interesting thing about the situation is at this point my mother had already been remarried to someone else. She was very kind to me, and she communicated with me as her relationship with my stepdad progressed. From the moment they started dating, to the point they moved in together, to the point they bought a house together, to the point they got engaged and had a child together. She always talked to me about it to make sure I was comfortable with the situation. My real father never treated me with the same kind of respect. So now I find myself in a situation where I am very depressed. I was admitted to the hospital a few weeks ago because of this. I'm 31 years old. The reason they let me out was because I was going to move back home with mom again. Because of my recent situation, I recently had to confess to my mother about my sister Jill bullying and undermining me and telling me that I don't matter, and that this has had a lasting impact on me, and the fact that I have these anxiety attacks because of it. My mother asked if she could tell my father about it. I agreed to let my mother share that information with my father. When he found out, the only thing he did was send a text message to me, tell me that he cared about me. I never responded because I have nothing to really say to him. I was pretty sure he didn't care about me. My mother said he became emotional when he found out, but to be honest, I find that hard to believe. The next time I saw him, I tried to have a heart-to-heart conversation with him. It seemed very superficial on his end. He gave me a very insincere hug. It felt completely detached from the father I knew as a child. In this moment, I needed him to show me how much he cared. I needed for him to hug me and to squeeze me and to tell me that he loved me and that everything was going to be okay. I told him how bad Samantha had behaved towards me. I told him about all the things she said and how she was very critical. He would not believe the things I said. He protected Samantha. It was like my feelings didn't matter. For some reason, my stepdad now seems more genuine than my real dad right now. I felt really loved and welcomed when I came back home to live with my mother. So at this point, I'm looking for advice. Do you think I should stop talking to my father? Should I estrange myself from him? Should I cut him off? What do you think I should do?